All right, I got here. It took me 7 minutes, but I'm here. I don't even know if you're here now because I couldn't find it. I kept clicking the link and couldn't find how to get here. All right, I'm here. Dr. Deb, how to get your spouse to want to get into therapy or know that they need therapy, etc. We do have a chat enabled. I hope you're here. If you're not here, I understand because I couldn't find it either. So, what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead with the talk. And if you don't see it, you'll see the replay. I'm just getting used to this YouTube thing. It's a little screwy because I kept clicking the link to get on, and it didn't work for me because I'm on the other side of the link. Anyway, I'm Dr. Deb. It is Thursday. It is past 1:00. I apologize for that. If you found it and you're here, that's great. Let me know. Chat in. And if you didn't find it, then, well, too bad. And comment below if you liked it and it makes sense. And if it doesn't make sense, ask and I will answer every question. I promise you that. Okay, how do you get your spouse to see that he needs therapy? In 2 words, you can't. You can't. You cannot tell your spouse what he needs. You cannot show him how smart you are and he isn't because it doesn't work. You cannot show your spouse what it is that he needs to do because he won't listen. Why won't he listen? Let's get right into the whole issue. Your spouse is allergic to the possibility that he or she may have done something wrong, that they are wrong, that they are people who were created wrong, that there's something about them one more time that's wrong. Your spouse is sick and tired of being wrong, wrong, wrong. You see, you've had years probably of discussions, tears, and all the drama that you could possibly muster up, and it didn't work, did it? And the reason it didn't work is because every single episode, whether you were angry or whether you were crying or whether you were begging and pleading, whether you were bleeding, it doesn't matter what it was. Every episode that happened told your spouse one thing: they're wrong. One more time. They're wrong. One more time. They can't handle it. They can't take it. They had all that growing up and they don't want it anymore in their adult years. And if you look at it that way, you can't even blame them. So what do you do? Well, the one thing you don't do is do what you're doing because it's not working, right? Let me also add something. Underneath this fear of finding out one more time that they are wrong is self-hate, because the message has been piled over and over and over again on them of how wrong and bad they are. And that message is an old message. So they've already taken it in. They've already agreed with it. At some level, they agree with the message. They hate themselves. In fact, the more they seem to not hate themselves, the more they seem to be who they really are on top of themselves, the more they're going to actually, under that, hate themselves. All that superficial stuff is just protecting them from what they really feel. So the last thing they want is a reminder that they hate themselves. In fact, if you sit down with them to have a rational discussion, a discussion in which they are a discussion in which they are composed and you're all calm and you're trying hard to reach down inside to their true self. The more you do that, the more scared they're going to be of getting to what they think their true self is, which is garbage. It isn't. You know it isn't. I know it isn't garbage, but they think it is garbage. So they're going to push harder. The more you push, the harder they're going to push against you. Does that make sense, folks? If you didn't get the link right, or I didn't get the link right, which I think may be the case, and you see this as a replay, just comment below. But does this make sense? You cannot push them to be who it is that you want them to be or you think they should be, because that's going to hurt too much and it's going to be too scary. In fact, there could be stuff that they're very consciously aware of that they're doing that they're ashamed of. Maybe they're on porn sites. Maybe they're cheating or want to cheat or imagining and fantasizing it. Who knows? Who knows what they're doing? Maybe they're robbing banks. Maybe they're cheating on their taxes. I don't know. The point is, there may be stuff that they know they're doing wrong that they don't want to be discovered. Or, final case, they may have dissociated because the pain was too much for them to bear of the idea that they are a horrible, rotten, stinking person. And so all the horrible, rotten, stinking things that they've done, they've dissociated. They don't even remember it. They're disconnected from it. You know, I think it was Stephen Covey. I was reading a book once, not long ago, and I believe it was Covey. He said that if you interview people who are in jail, they will tell you they're good people. Even the murderers will tell you they're good people. How do you make sense of that? Well, they want to believe they're good people, and they've disassociated. They literally don't remember the bad stuff they've done. Or they do remember it and say, that stuff came out of the blue. It hit me when I wasn't expecting it. I got triggered. Okay, I got triggered. Leave me alone. Not I'm sorry, right? Because if they say I'm sorry, that means they're acknowledging that they hurt you, which means they're really bad, which is where they don't want to go. That's the part that's cut off. They don't want to uncover how bad they really are. So they get mad at you and they say, that just happened. I got triggered. Okay. It's not who I really am. The reality is it's not who they really are, because every one of us really is a good person. But when our parts take over us, the triggers get a hold of us and we react, we have to take responsibility, don't we? In my work with people, I do not start out asking them to take responsibility. If it should happen that some person who has been abusive or mean or hurtful or any of that and doesn't want to acknowledge it finally does see me because maybe they were threatened with divorce, maybe they were threatened by their own children, grown-up children even, I'll never talk to you again, or whatever, and they finally do come in to see me, I don't make them take responsibility. You did this and you did that, because you know what? They'd be out the door in 3 seconds or less. Right? Make sense? We don't want to rub into people how bad they are to get them to therapy. So what I say to them when they finally do come in is I'm kind. I show them that I understand how it just took over them and they couldn't help it and they didn't understand that they were hurting somebody. I show them a willingness to hear their side. I show them empathy, not because they really were innocent, but because they meant well and didn't know better. I show them a vision of how things can be when things are better. But I never argue. I never try to convince them. And I'll tell you, there are times when I have myself slipped and argued. No, don't you see? It never works. It never works. So, what's my advice for you? What is it that you are supposed? Oh my gosh, somebody did join. Somebody found me. Oh, wonderful. Okay. Yeah, I've been talking for 10 minutes now. I don't know when you got on, but I'm so glad that you did find the link. Hello. So, what are you supposed to do? What is it you're supposed to do when you're trying to show a person this good picture of how good things can be, and you're not arguing with them? The answer is you have to do the same thing that I am doing, which is be in self energy. As I said, the one or two times that I've tried to argue and convince someone of how they're not seeing it the right way, I lose, because that's not self energy. Self energy has no agenda. Telling someone what they need to do is an agenda. And as soon as you have an agenda, you lose. Only self energy works. So the question becomes, how do you get there? How do you get there? You see, now we're switching focus from the person you want to get into therapy to you, because you will not succeed when you're not in self energy, right? When you're not in self energy, you won't be kind. You won't be understanding and empathetic. You won't have empathy for their position that they don't think there's something wrong with them. How can you have empathy for that position when you think there is? You see, but in self energy, you don't have judgment. In self energy, you don't start passing judgment. Sure, you have judgment, you have the capability of judgment, but you're not passing it on other people because you have enough compassion filling your heart and soul that you don't feel judgmental. You feel sorry. You feel bad for them. You feel love for them. You feel kindness for them. You want to help them. So, how do you work on yourself to get there? Because that's the only way you have a chance. And the way you work on yourself to get there is by taking, in my opinion, my coaching program. Watch all the videos that will be placed here in YouTube. I'm working on them. It's a big project, takes time. Go to my Facebook group, watch all the videos there. Watch the videos in my library, on my blog, on my website, and get familiar with how you get into self energy. But the thing that you need to understand is that it is only when you're not losing it yourself, as the little picture I had on the thumbnail for this live shows. The wife is so fed up with her husband not getting it and not listening. She's running after him with a rolling pin, telling him that he needs therapy. Well, guess what? At this point, she also does, because she's losing it. And I get it. I get how frustrated she must be. And I get how difficult it would be for you to show kindness and compassion to someone who's hurting you, has been hurting you for a long time. How do you show it to them when you don't feel it? I get that. That's why you need to heal first. Healing gives you a little bit of space, mental space, from that immediate sense of, I'm getting verbally beaten, I'm getting emotionally beaten or physically beaten. it gives you a little space to look at that person with compassion, because all the things that he or she is doing are things that are going to be sources of compassion for you when you understand that they are simply prompted by his protectors. And I have to say, I got all confused and flummoxed and blubbity blubbed and whatever from the fact that I couldn't find how to go live. I kept going to this holding place on my YouTube channel and couldn't find how to go live. And I don't know how I got here. So I rushed, and instead of having a nice chat with a lot of people, I'm all done in like 15 minutes. If anybody else is on, please say hello, because I really need to know somebody is there. And if no one found it, okay, I give up. I will comment to your comments. That is my promise. You take care, everyone.